I think it's possible we're live now. All right. We should be rocking and rolling. Well, hi everyone. And we have an important update from Sister Nya and the ongoing saga with getting her children returned that were taken unlawfully. And not only that, to set a much bigger precedent or to get things in motion worldwide to stop this, not only in Austria, Germany, worldwide. So, having said this, Sister Nya, she attended in Innsbruck, I believe that's how you pronounce it, Innsbruck, Austria. To our pleasant surprise, there was a protest there yesterday that had several that attended it. Um, and let me just say, to see that occurring, we did not know it prior, uh, beforehand, and Sister Nya found out about it, so she attended it, and we'll hear uh, we'll hear about that uh, from Sister Nya. So, having said this, I believe we'll get right into it. So, Sister Nya, you drove about 4 hours to this protest in a different district in Austria yesterday. And what happened?
Yes, I drove around 3.5 hours. But yes, 4 hours, you're right. There were a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
And it is in a different state. So not only a district, it's a different state, and it belongs to the state of Tyrol, which is close to Germany. And it was spontaneous, and I met very strong mothers and grandmothers, and also two lawyers as well. And I was able, to connect with them, and to hear not their full story, because we were walking around Innsbruck. So protest has to be previously, announced to
Hmm.
the government or the department itself. So we did also had, police, guiding,
Escort. Yes.
escort us, as well. And she also announced it, to the child welfare there, and also to the court, which is in the same building, like with the higher court and the police. So that
Hmm.
was also the places where we stopped. And they created signs with messages on it. There was also one child with us
Yeah.
who,
Can we show that picture of the picture that was taken? Can we share the screen at the protest?
if you can do that, because I don't know if I
Oh, I
can
will
do
try.
that on my
All
phone.
right. Continue. I'll try it. Yes.
Um, yes, it was quite interesting because at the beginning I had some the first thing, I think I talked with the lawyer and the grandmother, and I didn't know, and I shared a little bit of my story because the female lawyer asked me to do. And when I shared with her, and she was just shaking her head, because I later got the information that one of the women is um, she has one of the cases of one of the mothers there, right? So, oh, there's the picture.
Yeah. So what we see a little boy there. He's holding up the sign where the cursor's at. And what's his sign say? What was his message? He joined the protest.
Give me my brothers back.
Huh. That's so we're so proud of that brave little boy standing up. I'm so happy to see a child's presence begin to come into the standing up. Yeah, that's so beautiful. I love it. Thank you, little boy. Whoever you may be, you're so courageous and thank you so much in assisting in stopping this injustice, what is occurring. And all of you in this picture, as I'm looking at all of you, thank you so much for what you are doing. It's so important. So, so to our pleasant surprise, and it is a pleasant surprise, there was the protest going on in Innsbruck, if you will, but to our uh, to my pleasant surprise, they were encountering the same, perhaps almost identical thing that you are in your case, Sister Nya, in Corinthia.
Yeah.
So, this is so important because what it's showing is that it's actually systematic. It's not just an isolated case. It's not just in Corinthia. Here it is also in this department, and as we know in others. So, what we are seeing is because it's widespread, again, with the pattern of what's occurring, we are able to establish, let's say, an indisputable intent by the child welfare in the least. Now, I'll put my words lightly there with that, but it's becoming so obvious the injustices, and again with this, you have uh, sent, all of these different letters to all of the justice departments and levels of government in Austria. A few months ago, you began this. And what we see is they are ignoring it and continuing on doing this. So this also shows by the government that it's intentional and it's deliberate as well, that they are condoning injustices. So this makes the entire Republic of Austria complicit. And,
Yes.
and this is more than just my opinion because this is negligence. There is no rhyme nor reason nor rationale within law why these sort of things should be happening to so many and continuing. So it's not acceptable. And we have not seen any action yet by uh, what are supposed to be the responsible levels of government and child care service. If anything, we see them doing even more unlawful things. But I got rambling there. Let's get back and please share what occurred, and I'd like at times, if I got any questions or like to just add for clarity, I'll ask that. But please go ahead, and I'll stop sharing this now.
Maybe I should also, add, some messages of the signs. For example, on one sign there was like the child welfare is destroying families. On
Yes.
another sign there was children needs their mother. On another was children homes are like prisons, right? So
Hmm.
just to give a glimpse of it, and on the other side, there were the names of the brothers of the child, right? So
Did they have anything about psychological experiments or human experimentation? Any signs with that on it? Or
um
psychological torture? Any signs with any of that on it?
um currently, I mean, psychological torture is already, when the children are taken, right, and being separated, from the mother and from the grandmother. Interestingly, there were two grandmothers there as well, which are now not seeing their daughters anymore, which are restricted. So, but also, what I can see a reoccurring pattern is For example, that was all mothers, right? So some of them has the background, that the father of the children is having, I have to use it again, narcissistic personalities, right? A controlling mechanism, and somehow are also very abusive, but also psychic, physical abusement as well, as one of the grandmothers have shared with I. So what they all did was, to ask for help by the child welfare, and then it turned around, like victim perpetrator was turned around. And also the pattern that then they said, the mother has a psychological problem or is mental sick, right? Or over.
Let's so let me just stop there for a moment because in Austria there was a movement standing up for fathers' rights. But so what we're seeing right at this time, uh, the majority that have contacted you, if you will, about this unlawful taking of the children, it's the moms. So it also seems like there is an alienation by the child care services itself on all of the moms. So it is a biased injustice that is occurring there, that it's the moms becoming more of a target. Would you agree with that, or could you give some more of your observations with it?
So from my observation is, mostly, if the mother is, most of the mothers are taking a lot of care of the children. And what I'm seeing is mostly the awakened ones are targeted, meaning like the ones who are raising their children in a way that they allow them more space and self-discernment and to questioning things. What I can see is, when you are siding with the child welfare and agreeing to everything what they want you to do, um, you literally can abuse your child and you still have your child, because there are several cases to it. But also, what I'm seeing is that they are more siding with the parent who is much easier to control and to manipulate, and agreeing to everything that they want them to do, like psychological treatments or what have you. And also, and excluding the parent who is much more, I would say, aware, you know, like,
I would use the word higher consciousness. So
yes,
psychologically, yeah, they wish to take the children away from that higher consciousness, as you're saying, to psychologically control them and conform them back into a lower consciousness state. Now, because of the step of that, what occurs after the children get older, this is why you have perhaps 82% are delinquents and more problems to society as well. So again, stupidity is not an excuse here. It's actually, you could say, it's intentional. Now, is it psychologically psychopathic what they are doing with this? Because it is the opposite again of what they should be doing. They should be supporting the moms, dads, the families, and taking them, assisting them rather than putting them into absolute psychological stress and torture, all parties, the children and the parents. But go ahead.
yes, that's also one of the sign, like we need more help and assistance, right? um
Well, look at this protest. This is a micro example that more are standing up. You were not even in contact with these. These were new to you. And here we go, standing up. So it's bringing up. And this is a most excellent sign to see what is going to be revealed even further in Austria with this criminal activity. And yes, I'm calling it criminal activity, and especially in Sister Nya's case, because I've been observing and reviewing all of the documents, and it's the most savage, blatant, manipulative criminal activity that I've ever seen in this. And with the psychological evaluator, uh, with her evaluation in not only Nya's case, but I believe we're seeing the same one in other cases. uh, All the viewers in the courts need to know that this is a matter of opinion. And what I'm going to say, what if this psychological evaluator is very sick herself? I've mentioned this in the other one that I already have her diagnosed as schizophrenic and allegiance biased and what have you, because of her behavior in her reports. When you read it, she flips. You know, what they would call it would be a bipolar um, psych, psychological or mental disorder. And this also is very dangerous, but we cannot put all the blame on the psychological evaluator, because the psychological evaluator is giving an opinion. So then you have the judge that is looking at this opinion, which is not proof, it's not evidence, but you have a judge making a decision on faulty conjecture, which a judge really cannot do this. So it's absolutely ludicrous. But continue, please, Sister. Yeah,
Yes,
thank
no,
you.
it's very great. You put in a lot of things because the lawyer which were there, I just shortly briefed her about my case, and she was just shaking her head because she didn't understand. Because I said, the newest thing, in my case is, that we know that I brought a lot of evidence and a lot of witnesses also in. So what they decide in the end, she wrote a lot of things up, but again, it's the same like in court again, like they are focusing, on not important stuff and blowing it off, that they said that, while I'm having the custody of the children, it reaches a life-threatening peak, with my children. So, and also, I also mentioned,
Let's get some clarity on this,
yes,
because all right, so you need to let us know first, where did this come from? What you just said. You said something new about further endangerment. Who said this? What document did it come from? How did you come by
yes.
this information? Thank you.
Yes, I received the court order yesterday about the custody case and everything, with my ongoing saga, I would say. And they said, that they are taking away the custody from I and give it fully, to the ex, because while the children are in my custody and through the evaluation and everything they have, which shows clearly that the children are in a life-threatening danger while with me. So that's the decision for them, to take away the custody.
And did it give any evidence of why this is?
Based
Why
on
are
the
the children?
evaluation and everything they had,
Based on an evaluation, which is an opinion by possibly a mentally ill a psychological evaluator. And,
yes,
and
but
and so a judge makes a decision on this. So the judge is also uh, is complicit in a crime with this. It's absolutely unacceptable and ridiculous. Go on, please.
yes, I just want to summarize it a little bit because I want then I will then go to other cases, I have observed there. But what I want to point out, that I was the most stable one, inside of the court, meaning like you can see, you know, like, yes, I agree. I saw the evaluator in court and she had unstable behavior 3 times, which I was a witness of. But also, I had a lot of witness which proved the difference, but also, my presence there as well, very rational, intelligent, and very calm. But the thing is, that is a pattern itself again, meaning like, yes, life threatening, that they have a reason to separate from the children.
I, yeah, I need to interject here because at that same court, what you spoke about, you had 9 or 10 character witnesses, and the ex did not have any the father, and the psychological evaluator was her only one witness, but you had 10 that said you're a good mother as well. And they ignored all of that, too. So
Yes,
it's showing how it is intentional again, because how could they take an opinion from a psychological evaluator and not listen to the opinions of 10 others, which is 10 times more the conjectural evidence. And also, if we go further into Austrian law, there is the rule of conjecture in there that a judge very well knows they cannot rely on opinion. There has to be evidence. And again, in your case, there is no evidence whatsoever that you are a threat to your children. The evidence outweighs that you are, I love to say, one of the best moms in the world. And you have this support not only through 10 or 11 character witnesses, but you have this full support from uncontestable statements of facts that you have given all levels of governments that they in Austria that they also ignored. The facts that you have are concrete, incontestable evidence that was gathered with witnesses, documentation, while they have nothing but a silly psychological evaluation that is probably done by someone that is mentally ill. And it's absurd for any judge to go with that psychological evaluation when you've got 10 character witnesses, you've got incontestable facts and proof beyond what a court usually would have as evidence. You went even further with it by having witnesses and recordings and all of this of what's going on. So, because of this, it's showing its intent. So, intent is it's already proven what they're doing. And now you've become more of a target because what they did in their fear, which is very good, they took the children out of the child care center and gave full custody to the father. So they're very, very afraid at this point. And with this, they should be, because what's coming at the same time, you've got more that are uprising, like in Innsbruck with the protests. You got more moms and children, and the little guy that said he wants his brother back, his brothers. So, like, how can any child services, if you will, with little children, even knowing that it's wrong? This is, there is no excuse for any of the adult population in Austria to allow this when a little child knows it's wrong. So it's sick. But go ahead before I go further,
yes. I
please.
just want to add one thing to my case as well. Normally I would have a meeting, with my children on Thursday for 1 hour under supervision. And I normally take always, someone with me as a witness, because as we know, there, sometimes they're withholding evidence, they are changing evidence or things that were said. So that is the reason why it is important, to always take one or two witnesses at least with you. So I wanted to take again, a witness with me, and they denied it. So I sent them a letter. I informed them about the rights that they are violating. And also, again, with the unlawful abduction, from my children, how many human rights they broke, and that is also genocide. It falls under the law of genocide as well. If you take away children, put them under torture, or put them into another group, right? And I was then, requesting, if they deny me the rights, to take someone with me, to write me something up and pointing out the law that is showing that I cannot take one with me. So the only thing they said is that they know about the rights, and they are, that they are embodying it, right, or that they're using it, but also that the time is only for me and the children. And I was like, well, if I take someone with me, the person can stand with the supervisor itself, because it doesn't make any sense, because by human rights I have right of privacy as well, but also furthermore, mothers and children should have assistance and should more be protected by human rights as well. So I pointed that out as well.
Mhm.
So
Uh,
what they did was to cancel that meeting with my children. So
all right. Right at this point, may I come in here?
yes,
Because also you asked them to point out the law. They couldn't, but also you let them know that it was part of your evidence gathering. So by stopping that, this is an obstruction of justice by them. And
yes,
you could also say evidence tampering by obstructing and not allowing it. So
yes.
and when you see this occur, this means that there is something to hide. Because if everything was up and up and transparent, they would say, yes, you can bring a witness in. We understand that you're gathering evidence because there is an investigation going on, at least. And they should have complied with your rights. But instead, what they did was no, then they pushed the children very quickly in with the X, if you will, the what they call the father.
Yes,
Go
that's
ahead.
what I'm observing, that they use the children against you, to blackmail you, to control you, and to indoctrinate you and to conform you. And, because as you already said, controlling someone shows that they fear, because you only control someone and deprive them from their rights, if you fear someone. So I also pointed out, that they are covering up something if they don't allow me to do that, but also reminding them about the Austrian law, that I do have the right also by Austrian law to collect evidence, but also by the human rights to have information and to collect information, and that there is also a criminal law by withholding evidence, which is exactly, in that case as well. So what I also want to share with that is, I talked with the grandmother, and she shared that the father wanted to take the custody back of the child, and the thing is, when he got it, he also mentioned something, about a psychological problem with the mother, and it ended up, that the child is not able to see the mother and also not the grandmother. And every time when the grandmother is talking, with the child, the father is, recording everything. So I think she's maybe one in a week or something, but I'm not quite sure about that. How many times she's able, to call them. But
So are you speaking of one of the moms that was at the
grandmothers,
protest? The
yes, one
grandma.
of the,
Yes. All right.
yes. And that mother, that grandmother was also writing a lot of letters to all the ministries of Austria as well. So I'm always coming again and again to ones that they are writing to the ministries. So they already know what's going on because I'm not the only one who is writing out letters. So they do know and they don't do anything,
So
right?
widespread systematic abuse in this area with negligence because nothing is done. And as a result of this, the government of Austria itself is endangering the children because of improper placement of the children. And also, what we are seeing is, I would call human experimentation and also psychological conditioning and programming as well as causing great stress. So, those are a couple things, and there also may be as we go forward, and I truly wish there isn't, but there could be such a thing as gross negligence that has already caused, let's say, the death of a child because of this systematic abuse. And if this comes into play very shortly, it's just more condemning, damning evidence against the whole Republic of Austria, because someone has to be accountable for justice here. And we're not seeing anyone stepping up yet and doing anything.
Yes, they are, breaking family systems, functioning families, connections with the grandmothers and the mothers, separating them for a longer while, like months or something. And, to traumatize the children more. But also, again, we have here again the stigma, I don't know the English word, but, it's just like a stigmatization, like most of them feeling shame or guilt, right? And don't want to show themselves, in public, but also having fear because they are, because what they are doing is to observe you all the while, to control you. So most, some of them don't want to speak out because they said like, the ex is stalking them, on social media or what have you. And whatever they say, if they use a wrong word, he just come up, and use it as a threat as well, right? So they are trying to, because, if that parent has the child, which is already controlling, and threatening someone, the child whoever don't have to do much, right? Because it's working, it's just like, I
Well,
also
this
saw
is
some cases where, for example, if someone got separated, right? Parents, father and mother, so there's also a thing that you can observe first. They help, for example, the mother, to separate them from the father. And then the father got into court, and then they help the father, But, the thing is, they try to put, a lot of how to say, discord or something, right? Between both of the parents.
animosity
Oh,
to create that, yes, so they
yes,
can create, yeah, that conflict. Yeah.
but also, they have created, some kind of laws, which is also ridiculous, meaning like saying, that a mother is not allowed, to say something bad about the father. So that doesn't make any sense if the father is not treating the child good.
Yeah,
So you,
because this is truth. It has to be known. So it's ridiculous. Again, that's obstruction of justice for preventing someone from giving a testimony which is truth, allowing them to speak. And this is a very serious violation, not only of one's rights, but it's a criminal act. It's unacceptable. Again, it's criminal.
it's to
Um, you
suppress and
you know,
suppress people.
one thing I wish to touch on is that there's an actual sickness with one being negative bias. And what this is that one could sit and speak for an hour all beautiful things, but if they just said one thing that might have been negative, the person that watched that whole hour, they would focus on the negative thing because they have a negative bias. It's a psychological problem. Then they go and they focus on that one thing to support a totally opposite negative agenda. So it's a psychopathic sickness. And we're also, I saw evidence of this in what you just said coming up. So you're dealing with psychopaths that are supposed to be in places of trust. How many are in there? Well, what I need to say, I haven't seen any good ones yet because in your case, you have given all of them the opportunity to do the right thing and to step forward more than once. And you have not seen any yet, including the employees in the Child Crisis Center, which were also supposed to be notified that there was unlawful actions occurring there, and that if they did not uh, assist and do what is right, they become accomplices to this huge crime again. So they were
So
given the opportunity of remedy before I saying this, charging them with what they're actually doing. Go ahead.
yes, I also had another grandmother, and I talked with her, and she mentioned that her daughter, the ex of her daughter, she said, from her opinion, he's psychological sick, right? So, you have very often that narcissistic or, sociopathic behavior. Sociopathic, I would say someone who is not able, to feel compassion, who is putting, his goal above anyone without respecting the feeling or you're someone else, right? So and she mentioned to I because she wanted to say something, and she said, oh wait, my daughter said I'm not allowed to say something bad about the father, right? So I can't say that. So you can see how that works out, right? But also she mentioned to I that she tried to get her child back, but he took the child away, and now he gets money from her, so she has to pay him because he has the child, you know and she has to work, so she don't have time to come to the protest. But also she has two friends who are lawyers. They tried to get the child back, but they couldn't. So that is one case. Then I got another case. I think she has also mentioned, about his behavior, right, and tried to get help. There was also another mother trying to get help, from the child welfare, and showing, the abusive behavior of the ex, and also had evidence. So what happened was, they said she is psychologically sick, right? And then they took away the child and put it to the ex. So
But I'm actually seeing that the child care services are the psychopathic ones. There's something psychologically very wrong with them. And the more we look at this, when you see this pattern that they'll tend to support a psychological or a mental ill one and reward that one, this is looking like a cult. And you know that, and when I say occult, then we began to get into Kevin Annett and what he brought up about this very dark satanic things occurring worldwide. Because again, it doesn't make any logical sense for child care services to be doing committing these sort of actions. And again, to see nothing done by it by the government of Austria, it's the government is condoning it. So is the government part of it? It's not looking very, very well at all with this. And we're getting deeper in here into the core with everything that they do. And the more that we see, uh,
yes,
go ahead.
there's also the pattern what you can see, because normally the more aware a mother is, the more it takes care, of the child, also, knows your child the best, right? Everything, every changes, slightly changes in behavior or something, we do know that, so we are reacting on it. But what I can see, the more, every mother who is, pointing out things, or, just saying, we can't do that. It's against the children. I don't consent to it. They use again the word, you're not cooperative, right? And also, they turn everything around. And then, when they see you're intelligent or you're speaking up, they are saying you're psychologically sick.
They're
Right?
hypocritical, yes, and this is how psychopaths work. They accuse the other for what they're doing themselves. But also, I believe if you don't already have this information, we will. What we need to look at is any moms that committed suicide as a result of this in Austria. Because with this is, if we have at least one mom, this will be also proof of gross negligence, which is a very serious crime because of the psychological torture once again.
I have,
So
yeah, I have to add something, because I was also asking some if they want to do a live, and to share their story. So I'm just awaiting, how they want to proceed. But
mhm.
I have talked with a few, and I think some of them try to contact the media, and very prominent people. So what happened was, they said, some of them said they don't want to be involved into this, or, it's about the children. I don't want to get involved or public, make it public. So
Who
also,
was this? The media, you mean, didn't want to get involved? Was it the media?
yes, and also some
And the
prominent
media
people.
said they didn't want to get involved in this.
Yes.
So that also then the media, whatever media this is, becomes also complicit in this crime and an accomplice because there's a huge injustice, criminal injustice that's being done here. And if they are covering it up, the media, by not letting it be transparent, they also become an accomplice in this. And this is a very serious crime on these medias. So we'll get the names of these medias as well.
Yes,
Go ahead.
I don't know if I can find it again, but I figured out that someone which previously worked with the child welfare then went to the Department of the Media of Austria. So I'm just saying, there were also parts of media who first said yes, we will do, and afterwards, they just came back, and then they never responded, or they just said no, we don't do it. But I think it was more that they don't respond it anymore. Feel, as you can see, I also have to say, the lawyer I met there, she's trying to get against the court, the judge and the evaluator, because it doesn't make any sense, right? So she's blocked. She's not able to move forward, but she's also in fear, right? And she also heard about my story, and she was shaking her head because it was the same pattern here, right? So that is also a thing. And one of the mother, she was overwhelmed with three children, because she had a baby as well. And I think there was something, with the kindergarten, but she was asking, I think, for help with the child welfare, right? And then, what happened is, I think they went to her place and they did things like looking into the fridge or something. But the thing is, I think they somehow suppressed her. I don't know the full story, so it's just roughly. But what I know, that they take away both of the children and put them into a home, right? And what they also did, because it's a more awakened mother, they vaccinated the child while they were not with her, and they are normally not vaccinated. So that is also, abuse and violation of the.
This is a very serious violation, yes, without the consent. Also, depending on what they were injected with, but nevertheless, no, this is an abuse. Uh, totally, totally. This is a. I won't go in extensive how far this could go, but absolutely not
Yes.
acceptable.
So as you can see, there's an ongoing thing with judge and evaluator, right? So I also heard, I know a evaluator who's above everyone, But he's because he is so above, I heard, things, about, you need money, right? Or you need a lawyer, you need a good lawyer. But the thing is, there are also lawyers who are so afraid, right? And they are controlled opposition, or they, you think they help you, and then inside the court they just sit there and do nothing, or they just went against you, like in my case as well. So, but that evaluator, there was an evaluation which didn't make any sense. It's the same like I. And then that high evaluator came in and he said, that's completely not how you should work, right? And he wrote another evaluation, and kicked the child, and got the child out of it. But that evaluator also shared to I that nowadays, when children are taken, it's also very hard for the judge, to get the children back. So I'm just saying that. And also, as I have observed, the state role itself, what they shared with I is that is okay, with the number of the children abduction, but in Innsbruck itself, in the city, it's rising up, you know. So yes, so I was able, to gather a lot of information, and also, to exchange contacts as well, and also, to share, with them a lot, yeah, about what we are doing, what I'm observing with cases as well. And as you can see, the thing with the evaluator, it's not a single, it's not something only in my case, but it's an ongoing thing with evaluators, right?
So what we need with these evaluators, are they like private or are they paid by the government? Who pays the evaluator?
Um, so I don't know it so deeply, I would say, because I was just looking at my evaluator, and she's a private one, which is, which have made that off. So she's able, to work inside of the court. So, but no matter what, if there are evaluators, inside the court, they would be paid by the government. But also, if it is a private one, she would be also paid by the government as well. So it doesn't make any difference, from my perspective.
Well, what I'm looking at is perhaps also a collusion between a judge and the evaluator, and also a monetary is what I would call it, collusion between the child welfare, the government, or the child welfare, the judge, and the psychological evaluator, because also the money is so great, what is involved in this overall as well. And when you have this, there's not only that personal incentive for profit and gain in the sick system worldwide of the capitalistic system, uh, but also ones will tend to get greedy as well. And this begins to incentivize the criminal activity because it becomes so lucrative, so profitable that the more they collude and the more children they get, the more money that is made by all involved. Because again, we had mentioned previously that some children that the child care services takes, there's about €700 per day, I think, for some of them. And anyone just watching this, I mean, if you have a child at home, how much does it cost to care and feed for that child a day? Perhaps about €10. But here, €700 for some of these children. It's so you can see again that there is the huge money involved, but also it begins to create conflicts of interest in let's say the legal trail,
I have
which
to,
then makes
yes,
it illegal and unlawful. Yeah, go
yes.
ahead.
I have to, I'm also, observing, the overall situation, in Austria as well, and they have a lot of deficits here in Austria. So compared to other countries in Europe, I think it's the third time or something, but I'm not quite sure with that. But the thing is that, so much money is floating, in that whole thing, with the children, which doesn't make any sense. You could use that money, more beneficially, for example, a lot of single mothers, which are also often targeted, right? They don't have a place, to put their children. But normally, from my opinion, the money should go to the mother so she could take care of the child, right? But it's not given. So sometimes, a mother is very overwhelmed. So she's going to work, she's taking care of the child, and have to balance everything. And in the same time, she doesn't have the money because you can only work a few hours and you get a lot less paid. So that creates more suffering and stress on the mothers and on the children as well.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
But
instead
when you
of
look,
yeah.
and when you look at, let's say, I love using the $700 a day figure for a child when they take it. But what we need to add onto the 700 is all of those that are employed by the government as well. So when you look at the taxpayers for Austria, we're saying as high as or higher, €700 a day. Then how many employees is the government paying of civil servants? How much are they paying them? Is it another €300? Is it another 500? But let's just say if it's another €300, then you have to add that to what they're given to the child, which means that then the government perhaps is spending €1,000 or even more. So when you look at that amount of money, and when you look at a mom that's got three children in a one-bedroom apartment, very easily, if it was only space, the government could take a fraction of that €1,000 to give to the mom just to upgrade to give more space and would save all of the taxpayers of Austria so much money in every case as well. So again, the reason for this, the point that I'm making is that the effort again is not about doing what is simple, what is logical, and what is right for the child. Again, it goes back to the money, creating what they call jobs, if you will, at the expense of many moms and dads in Austria. Again, and it's the burden of the put directly upon the taxpayers. So because that's who got to pay for this always.
Yes, it's around 7,000 to 21,000 per month. So you have used the highest rate. I'm just
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to clarify that. But also, what you can
But
see.
then, well, oh yeah, exactly. That important. Yes, per month. Thank you for that. So yeah, so let's look at 20,000 per month. And then we look at how much we're all involved getting paid per month. So you could be up to about $50,000 per month for one child, where they could have bought a four-bedroom home, perhaps a nice place for them to live. And yeah, yeah. So it's absolutely absurd. Like, who is no one is that again, no one is that stupid that is running a government that it has to be intentional, because there is no excuse for this whatsoever. It's absolutely psychopathic and preposterous.
The thing
Who's
is,
running the government in Austria?
the,
there's
the more
there's huge
healthy
problems.
uh, the more healthy a child is, the less it gets. Meaning, like 7,000 is, around, when the child is healthy. Meaning,
All
like
right,
if it has special needs or some
a month.
psychological
Yeah, yeah.
problems, it
All right,
increases.
but let's look at this. Let's look in Austria at 7,000 dollars a month, like what kind of a living conditions would that provide for a single mom and two children, as an example? It doesn't cost that much.
Yes, the thing is also, as I have talked with someone in the past, he could take a glimpse on the documents, but they are holding it, withholding it, so no one can seize it clearly because he mentioned something that, the money is running, but sometimes you don't know if the full amount of money is used.
So
That
there's
is,
not transparency, and when
no,
so there
not.
is the cover up again, the concealment. And
Yes,
this also, when it's not only when it's asked through the Freedom of Information Act, but also if it's asked even without going through such a route, it has to be provided. And I believe it's to my understanding that perhaps what you would call a Freedom to Information Act was already utilized and still with no success, that there was probably blocked out information. I don't know if that is the case in Austria with what you're speaking about, but in the past, for example, with my experience in Canada, when we would ask for these reports that were very serious, there would be a statute of limitations, a period, if you will, that the government had to provide it, but they went many months over that they didn't give the information, and then when we did get it, it was all blocked out, the important information blocked out. And with that, it showed that the Canadian government way back then was complicit in this huge investment fraud, and in the entire markets, not only in Canada, worldwide, the financial markets and the trading. But go ahead.
I just want to add something as well, in case that they say you are endangering the child or have a psychological problem or anything else. You got that visiting times and supervision, right? So the government, I think, is paying, for a specific amount of visiting times or something. And then afterwards, you have to pay it by your own, right? So it doesn't make any sense, because they already got money, for the child. And then, they
You got
turn
to pay to see your own children. Yeah, like what you say. My oh my oh my oh my.
yes, but also put more pressure onto you, because most of them
Mhm.
already have used up, a lot of money, to pay the lawyer, to pay the evaluator, or put off, or put off a loan, for it, to have a good lawyer, as you can.
And this is part of the psychological torture, the financial burdening to
Yes,
cause stress as well. And we're seeing this very evident more and more each day in your case as well, the
yes, but
attempts at it.
yes, so I was very grateful, to see those great mothers and grandmothers, so bravely standing up, and just showing themselves, because we were working around, and we were a small group, but we got the attention, of the people there, and they were looking, some of them, was just supporting us, silently, or just wish us good luck, but everyone was reading what was on the sign, so that was a good thing. And we also stand, a short time in front of the child welfare. um I think there was someone looking, one or something, but also someone of the mothers mentioned, she often tries to contact them, but none of them are replying regularly. So I'm just also saying, because requesting information, you don't always, or very rarely get information, or they just don't respond. So as I can see this whole thing, or that whole process, none of them is applying to laws. It doesn't matter if you said to them there are laws to it. So it's very obvious. So yeah, it's quite interesting, with the whole thing. So I'm observing a lot, but also, the less you know, the more they do. So
Yeah, yeah. One thing with this, we also interviewed one mom a while back, and we won't mention the name, but you received a message that apparently the child care services is watching this publicity because it is going worldwide, which is very good. And so, what occurred, without mentioning her name, it was one we previously interviewed that had her child taken from her. What happened?
Um, she mentioned that she had a court appointment, and there was the child welfare also there, and they were not happy with that video, and I think she's in fear and asked me to remove it. So
So
it's very interesting.
attempts, so the child care, yeah, trying to manipulate her to conceal again more truth that was given out. So this is again criminal behavior at tampering with evidence and also an obstruction of justice once again. So
Yes,
yeah, yeah. So, and as we go forward, so we're seeing more and more moms and parents standing up, and we're also getting a lot of views on from Austria, correct? On our uh, video lives and this important updates that we're doing. We're getting a lot of views, or we're getting at
yeah.
least views.
I just want to add something, with the last thing, because it is not the same child welfare as in my case. And interestingly, they are observing my feed on Facebook,
Right,
and it's not
right.
my child welfare. It's a different district. I just want to point that out. So um,
So where another one is, um, let's just say it's obvious that I would say most of the child care services in whatever district in Austria is watching, because again, how would this other one know? Because they know because of what we're doing from your child care, because we told them we were going public in the beginning, and we said you have the point before we go public or right around that time to do the right thing and stop this. So they had the opportunity, but they didn't. So then what they're most likely did is the different districts got notified by this one of the child care services to tell the other ones to keep an eye on this, which is very good at what we're showing, because again, it's showing it's not an isolated child care services in Corinthia, that it's systematic, it's a network and it's widespread, which is very beautiful to the degree that it proves even more of what we're saying with intent. So we're getting more views on these from Austria as well. You were getting feedback. So this is very good on our
yeah,
lives we're doing. Yeah.
yes, they were not liking it, but obviously they know about my case and they know what's going on, right? So that's very interesting. I didn't know that, unless I'm speaking and they were like, "Oh yes, yeah, I'm watching it," or the other one was like, "Oh, how are you doing?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine, yeah," but and I just said, I'm leaving, to a protest, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I know about your story. I'm following it, on Facebook." So
Yes,
it's
yes,
it's not single. It's just that not everyone wants to be seen or or like it, but they are watching it and they are following it. So
yes,
it's quite
yes.
interesting as well.
Yeah. So publicity is working. We're getting the talk on the street, if you will, in the coffee shops, in Corinthia, perhaps, they're watching this. But what's importantly is where the public is beginning to speak about it, it's also building more of a concrete base of what we can call whistleblowers, ones also other moms, because eventually by word of mouth it reaches the ears of other moms, and they'll come forward as well as we continue to gather such a huge unified voice. So this is an important micro example of how effective this is as well. So by word of mouth, it'll be being passed through coffee shops or what have you. I don't have evidence of this right at this moment, but this is how effective the word of mouth is. If you lived in a small town when you had gossipers, if something would happen to one, the whole town would know about it very quickly. And this is how it works.
Yes, because we already have informed everyone. So, everyone involved, and also, by writing letters, we mostly say that there are internal and external investigations running, and also
Which
that
are
we're
it,
already
yes.
public. We are not hiding something. And yes, but it's quite interesting. I was also confronted, the last court meeting by the judge telling me that someone had gave her a YouTube video, which I know who it was, right? I don't have a problem with that, but she asked me, if is it that what you're meaning you are going live? And I said, yeah, well, yes, that's me. So yeah, we don't do any hate crimes. We are just based everything what we are saying is based on facts, or other situations that are really happening. So yes, and our conscious and yeah perspective on it, but not only our perspective but everyone, because truly and honestly there should be help and not the children being taken away. That's not a solution. It creates more problems and trauma to everyone. So yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is, once again, this is great news, and any moms and dads out there, no matter where you are at in the world, also um, contact us and join in on this because it's not an isolated nation like Austria. It's worldwide. It's the systematic abuse goes beyond the borders of Austria and many countries worldwide. So the only way that you're seeing when the legal system of these countries is complicit itself, you cannot get any justice within there. And this is why Sister Nya is forced, if you will, to get justice. That the only way to do it is you've got to gather the people, because the people are the actual law, if you will. And in times when any government is acting criminally, the onus and the obligation is upon the people to stop these huge crimes. And it's very important for the people to know this. And the only way to do it is to stand together and spread the publicity about it. And if there is a good country out there, if you will, there is the universal jurisdiction that also could be applied by an existing country. But also, we don't need that, because the absolute highest level of law is the people together. They have the universal jurisdiction as well, and meaning that this doesn't continue, this unlawful taking of children and all that are involved in it. It cannot. And what we're seeing now, more and more are standing up, and it's not going to stop, as we're seeing.
Yes, and it's worldwide. I'm observing a lot, but also, I'm very grateful for the mothers not to go into a a cooperative mode, because cooperative means often, to harm your own children. So I'm very grateful to see that as well.
Yeah, yeah. And we still, what we brought on early when we began to do these interviews and began to release um, be, began to release information was all of the refugee children that had vanished. I think 21,000 in Austria in a 3 year period, and I think over 20,000 in Italy. And the numbers were requested from Austria, how many were returned, but there was never, unless it had just come out in the last month or two, there's been no statistics showing what happened to these children. Again, there's many unanswered questions by the government of Austria, but what we're seeing with this, it makes sense why they're not answering that. I believe, again, we're on the tip of the iceberg of something very huge that is being concealed. And this is my opinion, and I cannot see having a different opinion at this time. Everything we're beginning to see is pointing towards this. And again, as we continue forward, we're seeing ones involved become very frightened, and they should. We give them the opportunity to do the right thing, but we haven't seen any, in this case, step up yet to whistleblow and to do the right thing and to clean the slate by doing the right thing and showing and giving more evidence to us so that we get this out public, so that there is accountability and that there is justice and that we save these children and moms from being psychologically tortured, and some dads as well. But in Austria, we're seeing it's mostly moms. This is not acceptable. It's savage. It's not acceptable. And it's being stopped now worldwide.
And so it is. Yes.
So, yes. So, do we have anything to add in this one, or I believe, or is that enough? Do you have anything to add?
No, I think we covered most of the important thing up, but also, to show more patterns because most of them, as you can see, tried it through the court and it didn't work out or it didn't end it well or, it consumes a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah. I just had a vehicle come and a dog barking here, so I put the headset on. Yeah, again, as many knows, why keep wasting your money, with lawyers and things, because you're not getting any justice when apparently it's well founded to say that the system is against you. You could spend $1 million, perhaps on lawyers, and not get anything from it. And this is why it's causing the people to stand, because the injustices are so grave and so huge with this, that it's leaving the moms of Austria no choice.
Yes, yes, totally.
Yeah. All right. So I believe we're all through uh, with this. It's important anyone watching divine-gpms.world, perhaps see if I can bring that up, and we'll mention, because this is important as well. It's your new new system that we're also bringing in, and we need the majority vote worldwide to bring this system in. It's a humane system, so it's not like what you have now. So worldwide. So this is and this will be your laws that protect you, all of your inalienable rights upheld, unalienable rights. Please, I retract inalienable. I say unalienable. So with this, the divine plan, you'll see it's a global people's monetary system and divine law, which is simple law. And it's important to know that this does get done worldwide. It's just a matter of when. It's a cumulative vote, meaning that it's been ongoing for about 4 years now. However, as things get more intense worldwide and more of the corruption is revealed by or as more of the corruption is revealed of the existing worldwide system, more and more people are consenting as well, because there is no other way when nations like Austria are acting unlawfully, and the only choice that the people have is to bring in an entire new system. And this is what we're doing. So just scroll here, and you see we have three 340,866 consents so far, and it's a cumulative, meaning it's an ongoing vote of consent until we get the majority. And up in the side of the screen here, this is where you click on consent, and it only takes you perhaps 2 minutes or so to go there and just fill in your consent. Um, there is an autograph box there, but you don't need to put a signature in there. You can if you will, but just a check mark or a heart or just anything for an energetic signature, just a line. Just need to put an imprint in there. So you don't need your signature or your autograph. You can if you want, but anything will suffice. So we just got to mark that it's a actual energetic imprint in the from once. So it's important to know what this does for you. You can check out the comparison old versus new page up here, and you can see no more taxes, Yahoo, and all of your rights, and many things become free in the world, and the world enters an unprecedented rapid deflation worldwide as a result. Once we have the majority, every child as well votes in this, and their consent, because rightfully so, we're creating this new world worldwide for everyone, and the children, their voice counts the same as an adult, and they can, for the first time ever, every child worldwide, their vote counts, no matter if they're 1 minute old, and if you're a mom or dad, you can consent right then and there, because this is for the whole world's future and the children's future. So this is a very real, um, physically being ratified by the actual consents, the agreements. So meaning that this does get done because it's physically being ratified as a worldwide treaty. You may wish to look at it, a worldwide accord. But with this, you don't need governments to do this. The people does this, and so it's important to know that, and it's important also for everyone to be a part of this as well, because there's educational things that you'll come to find. And as we go forward, we're evolving this more and more, and we'll be adding more and more information and tools to lawfully assist you as well, until we get this entire new system activated worldwide for everyone. So We're all good. We're
Yeah.
done.
Love, light, and gratitude to
All right.
everyone.
Love, light, gratitude, to everyone. And let me stop the recording. And yeah, we have these recorded, so we also put them out later if you were a little bit later coming in, and you can watch the whole thing. So